My name is Cynthia Cabrera. I am the Chief Strategy Officer for Hometown Hero and also the President of the Texas Hemp Business Council, and we are so grateful that you guys are here and all of you showed up today. Thank you so much. I know it's been crazy. The past year has been insane. I mean, I'm fucking sleep deprived and it's been a lot of work. So happy that you're here. We are going to have a panel discussion. And I am going to just give you a little overview first. I know today was a big day for a lot of people, and a lot of people are stressed out. I appreciate all the text messages and all the phone calls and everybody checking in, so thank you for that. This was the most consequential, controversial, insane session that this industry has seen in Texas, hands down. Thankfully, we only go to session every other year. So, thank you, Jesus. No hemp bans have passed to date. We'll get to that. But SB 3 passed. It was ultimately vetoed by the governor. I know everybody knows that. It was a great day. The industry came together to get that veto. There were a lot of elements that played into that veto. Some of the people are here today that worked on it. Joel and Nicole and Anna and Nick and everybody that I'm not mentioning, all the people who worked on getting signatures for the petitions. I was telling the story at lunch that one of our lobbyists had gone to the governor's office because they said they wanted to talk to him and find out if the governor's office needed to open every box of letters that we delivered. Because they wanted to know if it was just paper underneath, are these real letters? Do we need to actually go through this? Are there actually 150,000 petition signatures? Are there actually 8,000 letters? And the answer was yes, go through every single box. So, just breaking stuff. So there were a lot of things that went into this. There was a lawsuit that had been filed in Arkansas. Coincidentally, the next day, the injunction in that lawsuit got voided, which was it was like divine providence, right? We got that injunction long enough for it to matter. And it's funny because Hometown Hero had helped to get that lawsuit going a couple of years ago. Not because we sold that much money in products in Arkansas, but because it was right next door. And you have to be careful what happens right next door because it filters into this state and it goes into other states. So we pushed on that lawsuit because of that. That was helpful in getting, it was mentioned in the veto. There was another lawsuit that was filed kind of last minute that was also mentioned in the veto. There were several polls that were conducted that showed that this was a wildly unpopular subject with Texans. They did not want a ban in this state. Even with one of the polls was actually Republican primary voters, which means kind of almost who the GOP and the Republicans care about only, right? Republican primary voters. And even there was a wide margin of them who did not want prohibition because prohibition as a failed concept doesn't work. So there were a lot of things that went into this, and we got that veto, and it was a great day for everybody. And then, bam, we get hit with 24 days of a first special session, which sucked. Multiple attempts to do something, nothing happened. Then we get special session number 2, which was 20 days of more hair pulling or whatever. And here we are today where an executive order was issued by the governor's office this morning, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. I'm sure there'll be some questions. And basically he stuck to what he said he would do in his veto proclamation. He stuck with that. I think we would have all been happy if we had been able to get an age gate passed in the session, but that was not going to happen. All right, Lieutenant Governor did not want to see that, so it didn't happen. But the key takeaways are that organized advocacy, grassroots efforts work. The key takeaway is that strategy behind the scenes, tactical moves work. The overarching message for everybody is that there are a lot of different things that have to happen, and none of them would have happened without you guys, or most of you guys. We needed everybody, and I just want to thank you guys for all your work and all your support. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause because you earned it. We still have a few things pending, the executive order, which we'll talk about. There is also, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, and there is also another lawsuit that is pending, which I had intended to talk about anyway, but I got a letter from our lawyer this morning. So there is a lawsuit that Hometown Hero filed about 4 years ago that is currently at the Supreme Court. It's bounced back and forth between different courts, and it's gone through appeals and whatever, but it's still pending. Just so everybody understands, that lawsuit, the way that it is written, is a de facto ban. So everybody thinks that it's about Delta 8 and banning Delta 8. It is not about banning Delta 8. The way that it is written, it bans everything. So we have not let this lawsuit go yet because we can't. And until there is legislative and regulatory stability for this industry, we can't let that lawsuit go. So we got a delay when we went to the first special session. We asked for a delay because the hearing was literally supposed to be that same week that that session started. So we got it pushed back, and we got a letter today saying that they are going to alert us what the next hearing date is, and that one is going to go to court. So we have to win that lawsuit. If anybody wants details about the lawsuit, happy to talk about that. But I just wanted everybody to remember that there is an overarching lawsuit that's been hanging over us for 4 years. So while we're doing this work over here in the legislature, this legal battle has been going on over here for 4 years. So this industry is so resilient and so pulled together, and like when the chips are down, everybody just pulls it together and comes together. And I know that there are a lot of shit talkers out there, and all day long people have been coming up to me and saying, oh, you know, so-and-so said what. I don't care. Literally, I don't fucking care. What I care about is winning. And we won for now. We just have to keep winning. So I'm going to let our panel introduce themselves. There's a microphone right there. Go down the line. And we have one guy who's running a little bit late. And then we'll move on and do the questions. And we'll also have questions from the audience if you guys have them. But everybody good? All right, do it.
Can y'all hear me? All right, good. My name is Rahul Arora. I am co-owner of Hemp, based in Tennessee, and I've been active in the Tennessee AHAA, which is our organization that has fought all the bans and legal and legislative actions in Tennessee. Then I was also active in Alabama, since I live in Alabama, and was very active there as well. And that's me in a nutshell.
Right on. I'm Colton Luther. I'm a 6th generation No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. I'm Colton Luther. I'm the host of the Texas Growers Podcast, which has definitely played a role in proliferating some of the information about what was going on. I'm also a partner in an edible company and a cultivation company. So.
Cool. Hey everybody, my name is Mark Bordas, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Texas Hemp Business Council. And when I was brought on board, when I was asked to join, you know, the allure was that I'm familiar with highly regulated spaces, alcohol, tobacco. I was also warned about the hemp space and how wild it was. Wow, it's at a whole new level. And this has been a crazy 240 days of activity at an accelerated pace, but so far so good. And with the EO, the executive order that came out today, you know, it's another process, and we're going to need your involvement. And you guys, as Cynthia alluded to, you guys have made the difference. If it was an inside lobbying game that would have determined our outcome and the power under the pink dome, we would have lost. We had arguably the most powerful man in Texas politics that wanted to see your industry gone, wiped out completely.
Fuck Dan Patrick.
Hey, rabble-rouser in the back. Keep it down, okay? Take it easy, okay?
A few other clients out there.
And before I forget, because I actually have to do this and I meant to do it before, I want to thank always my Hometown Hero team, which is the best team of people on the planet, particularly Lucas Gilkey, who is the best and amazing person to work with. Our boy Jojo back there, Joe Daniels, who has done all these videos and like every every day, posted up wherever he was needed. And then a special, special thank you to Nicole D'Ortona right there, who led the single most successful cannabis online social media campaign ever in this country. Hands down, you killed it, Nicole. You're amazing. Thank you. So my first question is for Mark.
Yes.
So let me just ask you something. Were there any points in the regular session or the 2 special sessions or whatever, were there any like specific high points or low points that you were just like, damn it, we're gonna lose, or damn it, we're gonna win, or we need to, like, were there any moment, and listen, every day for me was like a freaking ride, like a total shit show, like I have PTSD, the whole whatever. But from your perspective, were there any days that just stood out, or any events that just really stood out for you?
Well, there were a number of days. I mean, it was topsy-turvy. We were up, we were down. It was a big-time wrestling match. But of course, the most important thing is to end up on top, where we are.
Hey now, this is a family audience.
No, it's not.
You got the wrong convention. But at any rate, yeah, and trying to read the tea leaves and where the speaker's office was coming down. He was trying to ride the rails and trying to appease the lieutenant governor, because the lieutenant governor was highly complimentary of him, saying he was the best speaker that he's ever had the opportunity to work with, which sent shockwaves through my system. And they were going to dinner on a regular basis, and the staff was perhaps less receptive. But the good news for us, of course, at the end of the entire legislative process comes the governor. And the governor stood with us. And you may not appreciate the entire executive order. You may get a little anxiety or some heartburn about parts of that executive order. But the fact remains, we're alive, and we still have more opportunities to shape what this industry is going to look like moving forward.
Colton, what was a turning point for you in any of this ride?
There was a lot. I mean, I think I was not really ever nervous that we were going to lose. I knew that we were strong enough, and the people, we had an election swaying amount of people that were involved in this. We proved that by dropping off tons of letters. It seemed literal tons, not tons like the quantity, but the weight. Tons of letters, it seemed, and that right there, I think, speaks volumes. So I was never concerned. I think at the end of the day, they have donations, they have politics that they have to play behind the scenes, but the people are who keep them there, and they keep them in power, they keep them in the position to have the leverage. And most of the time, these folks want to continue to have that job and access to that. And so I was really banking on the fact that they would listen to the voice of the people, and the people's voice would be heard. And I think that, again, with having holding the torch of the media side, I was insistent on making sure that even though we only got 2 minutes to tell our side, we did have other people that got the platform afterward to tell the truth, or to tell their side. And so we obviously, between Lucas, Hometown, my show, other people out there, content creators that were sharing all this stuff, we had a network's amount of viewership, a network's amount. We're talking CNN, Fox News, you name it, right? We had that many amount of viewerships and eyeballs on our stuff, and it made a difference. So I was hopeful the entire time. I really didn't ever have any doubts. And I think that also was, maybe it's delusion. Maybe you have to live in that to fight this kind of a battle. But some of the most delusional people that I know in here are the reason why we are standing on the winning side so far. So there was no real turning point for me. Now the veto was exciting. I was driving home, and I got it while I was behind the wheel, and I definitely was weak. You know, but it was exciting, and we've made history. That's something to definitely not forget. Even how this goes forward, we've made history. We did this, not one person, not me, not Lucas, not Cynthia alone. We couldn't have done it without everybody around. So I didn't have a turning point. I had faith in every one of us the whole time.
I just want to add to it. So the highlight for me was I loved the press conference, because we thought we were down and out. And so everybody was looking around, what are we going to do next? And so we had started the petition drive. We had started the letter writing campaign. We had started grassroots. going out in the marketplace, the dispensaries, and getting customers to sign up. And they're like, what now? It's like, it's time. This is the turning point in this whole campaign. So we quickly organized the press conference. Right? We got everybody together, like, what are you doing? I go, don't worry, this is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be great visuals. And everybody cooperated except for the speaker's office, tried to pull the rug out from under us at the last minute, said we couldn't have the room, or tried to rearrange the room so we missed the news cycle. We said, you know, damn the torpedoes, we're going to move forward with this. And so all those petitions, all those letters, with our placards on the side, a bright, you know, no to Senate Bill 3. And then as if that wasn't enough, because everybody was there, they were rock stars, they did a great job as usual, UMC, you hit it out of the park. That was fantastic, but I think when we did the perp walk with all the petitions down to the governor's office and got to drop them off, and then basically ensconced the welcoming receptionist, she couldn't see over them. You know, she had to get up to look over, and we have some great pictures. And then the guy that runs constituent affairs for the governor called me and said, hey, knock it off. I go, what do you mean? He goes, we can't keep up. We cannot answer all these people. We get the message. Just call off the dogs. So that was the high point for me.
And, you know, a shout out to Curtis Shoto, who I called like on Friday and said, oh my God, you got to go get a truck and load up all these boxes, and like just left it with him, and it was done, and they were there, and it was like amazing. So thanks to you guys for like showing up and making that stuff happen. Thank you, Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis.
But I think another thing to note is that people would quit when it gets hard, when you're not getting your way. It's easy to just throw your hands up. It's easy to stay uninvolved and uneducated and not stay plugged into what politicians are trying to do to your life, your freedoms. It's easy. It's hard to do this. So again, kudos to everybody for staying on the pulse.
Yeah, it's, you know, Mark and I talked about this a lot. Lucas and I would talk about it a lot. You know, it is very easy because it's exhausting. Fear is exhausting, right? You just, every day you wake up and you're just like anxious and like you didn't sleep. I know I haven't slept a good night's sleep in months. And it's like, it wears at you. But like when the chips are down, like that's when you need to like stand up, right? When they're threatening you, you don't back down. Like everybody can just fuck all the way off because we're not gonna give up. And one of my, you know, I always say all the time, I would rather die standing than live on my knees. And that goes to negotiations, that goes to regulation, that goes to people trying to take advantage of us, that goes to anything. Like, I will die fighting for what I believe in. And I appreciate that all of you did the same thing. And everybody who stayed strong and didn't say, oh my God, well, let's just give in and do this and do that and do whatever. No, man, we hold the course, we hold the line, and we get the most that we can get. And it takes a lot to work through that. So I appreciate this entire industry. And I appreciate the people from other states that were out there also helping us. What was it like, Rahul, watching this shit show from afar?
Crazy. It seemed like it was never ending, didn't know where it was going to land. And, you know, Lieutenant Dan did everything he could to screw everybody in Texas. You know, it was really amazing to see the outcome and y'all's perseverance. That was something that taught us, hey, don't give up. Like, that's something that in other states, unfortunately in Alabama, too many people gave up. And the fight's not real there anymore. So, you know, I've shifted my focus back to Tennessee, and it's because of people like y'all achieving what needed to be achieved and persevering and doing what was necessary to get Governor Abbott to first get the veto and then come to the table with you guys and make a, you know, policy that's livable. It's not the best policy, but it's still livable. And that's something that's to be said for the state of Texas.
Yeah, thank you. So, Mark, can you talk a little bit about the executive order? Just give an overview, because we're going to open it up to Q&A. There's an open mic right here, so if anybody has a question, they can ask the question. But why don't you just give an overview of how the rulemaking process works, how it's helpful, how it can screw you, that kind of thing.
Right, so the EO, or the executive order, largely follows along the veto messaging that the governor provided, right? but it's very deferential to House Bill 309, which during the second special session, don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but during the second special session, we didn't even bother reading. And I know that may sound shocking to you because now it's very relevant. Where 24 hours ago, no one cared what was in 309. Why didn't we care? Because we were told by everybody that was pertinent to the process that it wasn't even going to get a hearing. And that's what happened, nothing. So now suddenly 309 is it. So 309 is a 149-page bill that every lobbyist or attorney that's associated with this issue is now going to be looking at and taking a deep dive on over the next 24 hours. So I will tell you that. As far as the rule promulgation process and what to look forward to in the coming weeks and then the months, there will be stakeholder meetings. You can rest assured there will be stakeholder meetings. DSHS, THBC, that's the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. They're going to be calling stakeholder meetings, and then the next step will be the promulgation of rules, and then there will be public response to that promulgation of rules. You know, everybody will have at least 30 days for input, and there'll be a lot of arm wrestling. There'll be one-on-one meetings with the people that are doing the rule writing, and then after that period of time, there may be an adoption of those rules. So the process is just going to start now. And again, with my apologies, I now need to read House Bill 309. So again, 24 hours ago, it didn't matter. Now it matters a lot.
It was 175 pages of crap. So there was nothing in there to like. I read it, and it sucked. So, you know, we can just count on that part. Okay, so the other thing about the executive order is talk to us about how long this process might take.
Well, it's really hard to say. The executive order will be the rules and regulations for the industry until, you know, the order is executed or is accomplished by the state agency. So it's just a matter of how long does the rulemaking process take, how long does the stakeholder meetings take, how long they have to, a minimum they have 30 days for public input and responses to the initial draft. And then there could be multiple drafts after that. You could be looking at months. So it's hard to say with certainty, but we'll be watching it closely and participating.
And for anyone who wants to know about THBC and how it works, when Mark worked on the dark side, he dealt with the beer people for 20 years. So nobody knows more about THBC than Mark.
Yeah, so I'll say this, just last week, and I thought, you know, nothing happens by chance in Austin. The director of the THBC said, "Hey, Mark, we should get together for a few beers." So I thought...
Who paid for the beers, though?
We did. Of course. That's what a lobbyist does. And so I thought that he thought that things would all be in place by then. And so we'll be meeting, we'll be talking again, and I just texted him this morning and I said, "What's it look like as far as the time frame? What do you know?" And he goes, "I'm just reacting to it as well." He goes, "I'll let you know as soon as I know." So we'll be at the table.
I will say it's interesting. I did some interviews on the way, like my whole morning got shot to hell, but I did some interviews on the way here and stopping for Nicole and that kind of thing. And a particular reporter asked me how I felt, or how the industry felt about the 21 and over. And I said, we're good with it. We've been asking for it for several sessions. This you know, checks a box that we've asked to have checked for a long time, so we're really happy about it. I happen to know that that reporter gets a lot of tips from certain legislators who don't like us from their office. And so he said, "But for real, how do you feel about it?" And I said, "For real, we're really happy that this has happened." And he's like, "Yeah, but in the long term, do you think this is going to be good for you?" And I'm like, long term, short term, doesn't matter. This is what we've been asking for years. The point of this story is that don't think that everybody's happy and now is not the time to rest on our laurels or whatever. There are still people that are not happy and looking to trip up our process or this situation or whatever. So we all need to be vigilant and stay on top of that. Lucas and I had a meal with a legislator last week, and this legislator said something like, well, if you people had just self-regulated yourselves. And I was like, hey. I was like, the overwhelming majority of the industry are good actors. Every industry has people who don't follow the rules. I said, but we've done a pretty good job when all they had to do was a simple age gate. So, but she came with that thought, you know, and it was interesting that it was already baked in that we were just bad, right? So this process is going to be interesting because I think everybody who wants to take the industry down, this will be their last attempt to do that. So we need to stay vigilant on that. Actually, this is a good, do you have something?
Well, yeah, and to that point, I mean, our industry is pretty new to this game, right? Being involved heavily in the public process, and so it reminds me of that old cartoon, and probably everybody in here is too young to remember it, but there was this old cartoon where a skinny guy goes to the beach with his girlfriend and a muscle-bound guy kicks sand on him, so next thing he's pumping up and he goes back and kicks the other guy's butt. We're pumping up right now, right? We're not that skinny kid on the beach anymore. We know what's at stake. We know how to defend ourselves now. So that's what I'm excited about. We're not going to be a political piñata moving forward. We're going to land some body blows too, and we're going to be relevant moving forward as they make policies in the state.
So now is a good time. I mean, there's way more people here than I expected. Does anybody have any questions? Holy moly, my phone got blown up this morning and nobody has any questions right now?
Excuse me, sir, with the long hair. Please
Oh,
come to the
sir,
mic.
sir, please come to the
Please
microphone
come to
right
the
here.
microphone, sir. Beautiful hair, though.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I am envious. I am jealous. Those are natural highlights too.
Not really.
Oh.
I was just wondering if y'all could explain to the audience how the hemp industry in Texas or North Carolina, or I don't know how the laws work in Tennessee, but can y'all explain to the audience how we truly have a more legal market for cannabis here than we do in legal states like California or Colorado?
Oh yeah. Colton, do you want to take that or do you want me to take it?
I mean, mine's short and sweet. I mean, look at the amount of freedoms we have around this plant here in this state, and the market we've created. Shout out to Glassmith, Cozy Cannabis, Mr. Nice Guys up north, Happy Cactus. I mean, anybody who has put up a retail or brick and mortar, or anyone that's housed this community, hosted events for this community. We have consumption, retail, all that stuff going on under the same roof. Sometimes bars and dispensaries are the same building. Now, whether you agree with that or not, it exists. And it doesn't really exist anywhere else in the world unless the United States. And we have a ton of cannabis freedoms here that we sometimes take for granted and overlook. And I think other people from outside in are very jealous or ignorant of how things are actually going and how free it is here. And this week's been great for that, showing people what our community actually is. It's not just, you know, THCP chemicals on tar that you eat off of a cracker off the ground and shit and give it to kids that are under 21 and don't have any money. It's not like that. And people from all over the industry have come here now, especially for this week, seen chances, paying attention to us. Multiple states are obviously looking at Texas for what's to happen next. We don't have preconceived notions of California, East Coast, West Coast, whatever. We're going to do it our way. We're going to do it Texas's way. We're going to do it bigger. We're going to do it better. And we're going to have more cannabis freedoms than any other market. And we've done a great job playing the long game, being patient, not getting greedy, not just taking whatever hand the government wants to deal to us. And it's landed us here. And the fight continues, but we're on track and on course to be at the helm of one of the largest rec markets with the most cannabis freedoms that's ever existed. And I'm very proud of that, and I'm very excited for that.
Woo! So that we can get a sense of who's in the room, how many people are manufacturers in the room? Retailers?
It's like 60-40, eh?
Yeah, a little bit. Anybody else that's not a retailer?
Growers!
Grower!
Yeah!
You're a grower now?
Growers and showers.
How was everybody else?
So, I know that a lot of, we'll talk about SB 2024, okay, we'll talk about SB 2024. A lot of people have talked about this vape ban, and I'm surprised when I asked if anybody had any questions that nobody had any questions about the vape ban. Does anybody have any questions about, yes, sir. Can you come to the microphone, please?
E-rigs, are those included as an e-cigarette device, like a Puffco, a bomb e-rig that I have in my pocket, a Carta, and also kind of piggybacking on that is the individual raw concentrate product that would go inside of said device included in the SB 2024. I've heard so many different things on this.
Well, there's a chemist that we deal with sometimes, and he always says that if you ask a chemist, or you ask 10 chemists a question, you will get the same answer every single time. And he says if you ask 10 lawyers, you'll get 10 different answers. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, I got an email from somebody yesterday who also sells nicotine vapes, and their question was, their inventory was a lot of vapes, hemp and nicotine and that kind of thing. And I was like, you need to talk to whoever your attorney is, because I don't know where you purchase, I don't know where you store, I don't know what you do, or what, whatever.
Things that involve that.
Correct. I mean, listen, not giving legal advice, I think everybody should talk to their attorney. The substance inside on its own by itself is still fine. Okay. And there are, I talked to an attorney this morning on my, when I was walking the dog this morning, who said there are some creative solutions. Creative solutions come with potential downsides that everybody has to manage. And I will say that, at the office, we get calls every single day from people asking for, even people that are not customers. Our sales department is overrun with questions from people. They may not even be customers, and they're just asking us all the time. And my first thing is always, this is what we think it is, but you should always talk to your legal professional. And every decision that you make in a, I don't want to call this a gray environment, because it's not, we're trying to get it out of that, but there are risks associated with doing certain things a certain way, and only people on their own can decide whether they want to take that risk or not.
And that was basically the final answer I got, was how big is your risk meter?
Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
In regards to SB 2024, do you have any updates on the current lawsuit? Because I know there is one that kind of went through on the nicotine side and failed, correct? And then there's a second one that's in process? I
don't have any updates on the lawsuit, but I do have a meeting after this to talk about that lawsuit. So we're still not done. Right? We started, let's go back to January. Well, actually, let's go back to April of 2024 when Lieutenant Dan said that he was going to ban this industry. That's how far back this all started. So let's go back to that. And our focus has always been on making sure that there was not a complete ban in this state. We have achieved that goal for now. We do not have a complete ban. The vape issue, and I was talking to Colton earlier, and I was like, 2 years ago, I was telling everybody that tobacco companies are going to pass these vape bans because they're doing it in every state. Like, this is a thing. Luckily, ours doesn't contain the PMTA reference, which is good. But our goal has always been on ensuring that there was not a complete ban. There is another lawsuit, I don't know if you were here earlier, there is another lawsuit that is pending that is an actual de facto ban. If we lose that lawsuit, nothing else that anybody has done matters, because that lawsuit is, everybody refers to it as a Delta 8 lawsuit, but what it says is that if there's even a trace of Delta 8, then it's banned. It's a controlled substance. Otherwise, we would have dropped that lawsuit a long time ago, right? Because it's a, Hometown Hero, with the exception of like 25 grand last year, Hometown Hero has funded the bill for that exclusively. So we have to remember what is the bigger picture and what is the next thing that needs to happen. Hometown Hero, who I work for, sells vapes or sold vapes. We have been affected by this as well. So the question is, when we look at lawsuits and litigation and where we can put funding and what we need to do, the question is, are we going to, do we focus, because we're not finished, right? We started out looking at a complete ban. Now we're in this executive order. It's September, and we're not finished yet. We didn't expect 2 special sessions, right? I'm sure the lobbyists are tired too, but we're not done yet. We have to go through rulemaking. We have to do all of that to make sure that we get what we can get. So the question is, What do we focus on? What is more important? Well, let me ask you guys. Do we focus on the lawsuit that is a de facto ban, or do we focus on a vape lawsuit at this time? Do we finish what we started and then focus on the vape thing, or do we try to take on everything at the same time? Bearing in mind that the governor signed the vape ban. And we're asking him for, we asked him for help, we got the help, we asked for help again, we got the help again. So it's like a big question. So does anybody have any thoughts on that?
So yeah, right, I take your battles is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. That's sorry. My name is Oscar, I support the little guy.
Hi, Oscar.
What's up? My question is surrounding THCA. What does that really mean after today?
Well, DSHS has 10 days to start addressing this issue. Nothing's happened yet.
Okay.
They have to promulgate their rules. So the only thing that's in stone is the 21 and over, correct, Mark?
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's in stone right now. Remember, they're also supposed to investigate or research milligram caps versus percentages, which is weird, and other things. But they have 10 days to get started, but there is no deadline. So.
I heard they're revisiting like the total THC as well. So Greg Abbott also recommended the DSHS to look into what they're going to do as far as the framework goes. They're going to be looking at undecarb THC as part of the Delta 9 percentage in everything. So if that's the case and they do away with THCA, it's going to pretty much kill our industry here in Texas. And not only that, I believe that's unconstitutional because it's going to stop us from doing something in Texas that other people are doing in other states instead of illegal.
So if you look at the regs, I'll get to you right in a second, Dalton. If you look at the regs, Texas currently adopts the same definition as the USDA. That is currently the case. The weird part is that flower, like once you pick it kind of, it's the finished good, is where the thing gets weird. But the federal definition includes the THCA calculation. It's already in there, and Texas mirrors that. But I think he's trying, and I don't know what's in his head, right? And he's got a huge staff of a lot of lawyers and stuff that have looked into this, which is another reason we don't like HB 309, because they modeled it on the Virginia thing, which sucks. It's terrible. That definition is already in there. So basically what you're saying is that in that rulemaking, we're looking for some kind of carve out for flour because it continues to decarb, right? Because it's going to decarb whether you test it or not. It's always just going to keep decarbing.
But Texas is total THC. USDA is not.
Yes, it is.
They just.
I'll bet you $1,000, and I will give you the definition from the USDA. I'll give you the chapter, verse, the whole deal. I'll bet you $1,000 right now. It's in. So what happened was that when the Farm Bill first came out, they did rulemaking, and they took comments and they took time to address the issue. And so a lot of, and it's like 5,000 pages, but you can read through it. So the Farm Bill was passed in 2018. It took until 2020 or 2021, I think, for them to come up with the definition. And that's the definition. So it wasn't in there at the beginning. It came up in rulemaking, where they decided to include the THCA calculation. So it's already in there. Yes, Dalton?
How's it going, friends? I was just on the spot of like splitting resources. In my mind, it's like a two-front war. Obviously, if we got to protect the house, which is THC in general, what worries me a little bit on the vape side is with vape going to teacup, and I don't hate the teacup. I think if you have cancer, you should be able to go to your doctor if you want to. But if teacup is successfully able to take vape from us, and then they take it, I think it sets a dangerous precedent. Whereas teacup gets stronger, they'll start picking up our other product categories. So although I totally agree, protect the house on the THC ban, that's a bigger deal than isolated vape. I think it's like if it's a military thing, yeah, protect the house. But if you see a raid over here, you got to send some people out there to go stop that, because this could set a really dangerous. If the teacup successfully gets vapes and we don't sell it, next they're coming for the flower. Next they're coming. And in my mind.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this earlier today, and it's like, where is the end, right? Where do they stop? Right? If they took this, they can take this other thing, right? And nothing is ever safe. And I wonder if there's a legal challenge on 2024 in terms of taking one thing from an industry and giving it to another industry, right? Forget interstate commerce and all that other stuff. My question is, how is that legal to take it from one and give it to another one?
Well,
You're talking about a safety issue.
Where are they gonna get their hardware? I mean, if the vape device is what's really banned from whatever country it's manufactured from, is the medical company gonna use US-made only vapes to put their oil in and then charge more for it that people are already complaining it's too expensive?
That shit would be wildly expensive.
Wild. So I don't know what the thought on that, like the regulatory capture of it, like it sucks vapes are banned, but also giving it to the medical program didn't seem to be, like, I don't understand how they're gonna take it and run. They're still gonna have to use a United States made vape and.
It was meant to specifically ban it.
Yes. It's
Right, that's like, as like everyone was beating SB3, they amended to 2024, and like, for whoever sells nicotine here, it's different. We're just two different cars, it's fine. And they just, again, I don't have the answer here, but I feel like we could just carve it out and say, you're even like CBD vapes. Like, if we could all just get behind CBD isolate vapes, that's federally legal, that's non-intoxicating, those should not be banned. Again, I don't know the legal theories here. I do get worried that if they successfully take this and we kind of just accept it, then they'll be like, okay, where can we get them next time? So I know I just see a multi-front war. I think defending the house is most important, but if we see a raid over here and they get stronger, it concerns me.
I totally take your point, and when that bill came up, I mean, we were stretched so thin, and I was talking to Curtis or Ryan or somebody, and it was like, this industry, it's new. I mean, Mark was pointing that out. This industry did not have the resources to fight Lieutenant Dan, fight the tobacco people, fight the alcohol people, the beer distributors. It was like we had to pick a battle. And the vape thing over a complete ban, it was an easy choice where to keep focusing our attention. And our lawsuit that we've had, which by the way, I was not working directly for Hometown Hero when that lawsuit came out, but I would like to say that lawsuit has kept this entire state in business. So kudos to the Hometown Hero team back there. Well done. We have to choose, I lost my train of thought there, but if we fought that and then we got a total ban, it didn't matter anyway.
Totally. And
it was like, I hate this analogy, but how to split the baby, right? And it was a difficult thing, but I don't like the idea of them coming and taking things. The only thing that and the point I was making about the Hometown Hero lawsuit is that it's been going on for 4 years. That injunction has been in place for 4 years. It is very possible we could get to 2027 before a lawsuit on the vapes is decided. It's possible. I don't know. I mean, let me tell you what, the last thing I wanted to see this morning was that EO. Can I get one day?
It's like they've got a playbook now, just attach ban to like a Chinese thing or whatever's next. It's like whatever country we're mad at in 3 years.
Correct.
And so that just scares me. So,
I was just about to say that.
Hopefully we get it separate. If we can just separate them.
They do seem to have there is some like xenophobia attached to some of what we heard on the floor even. Like with banning CBD and hemp shops and stuff, it was basically about who was running them. Products nonetheless. They're sending their money off to overseas. They're foreign nationals, whatever they want to call us terrorists. Calling us terrorists, right? So I think also with the vape ban, it was about the device and crippling the countries that was manufacturing a vast majority of the devices. And of course, they threw the cannabinoid thing and nicotine in there because it's going to go with the vape as well and help get that sold. But I think it was also more about the device. I think also some of the devices, just because they exist doesn't mean they are safe. Just because they are in someone's packaging doesn't mean that company or that person went through all of these, went to China to see where it was made, how it was made, what's in it. You know what I mean? So I think it was also about the devices.
Well, there's a hearing and communication, because there was like a hearing where there was a debate with a gentleman and a lawmaker and one of the House, and they were getting stuck on, is this filled in China?
Yeah.
And we didn't really do a great job explaining, no, this is not filled in China. And the guy left thinking, oh shit, they're doing THC in China. It's like, so it's an educational thing, and it's, God bless the nicotine folks, we gotta separate these things.
I think there's some spillover too from what happened with the Juul experience, right?
Well,
in where those pods were being made to fill, and the e-acetate and the popcorn lung, there's some spillover from that.
the vape industry, and I know because I worked for many years in the vape industry, and the vape industry has just had a terrible rap. I mean, it's just, I started working in the vape industry in 2011. So it was a long time ago, and the vape industry has a terrible rap, and a lot of people, particularly the Tobacco-Free Kids Association, they did a fantastic job of scaring everybody to death. In fact, I got in an Uber the other day, and this woman was talking about needing to quit smoking, and I said, why don't you try vaping? And she said, those things will kill you. And I was like, oh my God, like it's still out there. But they did a really good job of terrifying everybody about the vapes. The thing that concerns me about the vapes is that there's a thing called a pre-market tobacco authorization. It's a PMTA that anyone who sells or manufactures a vape device, I see you, Greg, anyone who manufactures that device is supposed to have. And, you know, I worry about getting thrown out of something because it's like, hey, you're not even selling the federally legal thing that you're supposed to have. I mean, the Juul thing was a total shit show. I mean, it was just crazy. Greg, is there something you want to say about PMTAs?
Everybody has probably heard about the raid today at Midwest. It looks to me like FDA has changed its position without giving us notice because there were a number of products on the warrant list that are under review currently.
Shut up.
Including some of my clients who were downstairs.
Wow.
I have a feeling we're going to litigate this and try to stop this quickly.
So what, did they just take vapes?
They took just vapes. There's a whole long list of people on there.
Was it just hemp vapes or just nicotine
No,
vapes?
it's all nicotine.
All nicotine.
for ends devices.
Yeah.
What's that?
Distros now. We're up to 5 distros right in
Yeah.
not just Midwest, they're hitting all over the country.
Yeah.
As we speak?
Yeah. 5 distros.
On the nicotine vapes?
Yeah, nicotine only.
Are they saying that it's because they don't have authorization?
Yes, and Pam Bondi actually today did a presser with RFK and I forgot who else at one of these raids. And she actually said that unless it is authorized, it is not allowed to be sold. That is a change of position.
Yeah, they've been pretty lenient thus far on the whole PMTA thing, which is a shit show anyway. I mean, when you think about it, a pre-market tobacco authorization for a vape device, they're trying to put vapes into the same category as cigarettes, which is insanity. It's just insane. I remember talking to the guy, he was with, I think British Tobacco or something. This is back in like 2013 or 2012 or something like that. He's retired now, he's a British guy. But he's a scientist, and I remember talking to him. You might have been at that conference, I don't know. But anyway, I said to him, he was the one who came out and said that, and it made headlines, that vapes were at least 95% less harmful than cigarettes. And I spoke to him afterwards, and I said, where'd you get the number 95%? He said, because I didn't want to say 100%. But that's how he felt about it. Like his data, his science had backed up that they were completely better for you than cigarettes, but he had to leave a hedge there. So you think there'll be litigation on
I
that?
think there'll be litigation on this, but what this is doing, this is a change of course by FDA and how it's enforcing. As many of you know, FDA was sending warning letters and is imposing civil monetary penalties. Well, that's gone to litigation and they've lost that issue. And they know that, I've got the lead case in the Fifth Circuit that's taking that issue up. They're going to lose the issue, they know they're going to lose the issue. So now they're switching to doing the raids. They're going to get a warrant from a judge, listing products, they're doing a seizure and forfeiture. That's their new game plan.
So I feel like the government is trying to get us at every aspect they can. They're trying to make us as weak as possible. They're doing everything they can to make us as weak as possible. And they don't know the resiliency of this group of people in this room. They don't know the resiliency of our industry as a whole. And I think that that's happening across different states, now nationally. I think we got to be ready for the big fight, and we got to be ready to pull out our pocketbooks. And I think that's really important in all our fights. Is I know we make a lot of money doing what we do, but we got to start releasing that to the people that can really make a difference in making sure that we protect our industries. That's not just nicotine, hemp, everything. And this multifaceted attack on our industry is real, as we see it happening in real time. And so we don't need to take anything for granted. And I think that's something that a lot of people in our industry just, they popped up within the last 2 years, made a ton of money, and they're okay to see it go. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of us that really rely on it. You know, we spent millions of dollars investing in it. You know, our company is a seed to sale company. So I am fully invested in this process from start to finish. And so I'm doing everything I can. That's why I'm so active in making sure that we do what we can to protect our industry. And I think everybody in this room needs to have the same approach. And, you know, I can say this from experience in Alabama. We had a lot of infighting amongst people within the same industry. And it was very frustrating because we were attacking each other rather than attacking the people who were putting these bans in place. And that's not the fight that we need to be fighting. We need to be fighting as a unison, going against the people that are trying to ban our products. And I think that, you know, that's really, really important for all of us to just wrap our head around and really embrace.
And just in case anybody doesn't know, which I'm sure is probably not the case, but, you know, we can be mad at legislators, and that's cool, that's fine. You know, and I will say that some of them genuinely believe the things they say or the things they were told. And the thing is, I mean, Mark can tell you more about it. Legislators are super busy all the time. They have staffers that read stuff. They don't read it. They get recommendations from their staffers because they don't have time for all of that. And in Texas, you know, all these legislators, because it's every other year, they all have jobs. So, you know, they want it out of all these special sessions because they have to go back to their jobs. They're eye doctors or lawyers or whatever. And so they have to go back to their, you know, their thing that they're doing. But in this case, in Texas, a big push on this is because two industries, and I don't care that this is being recorded, two industries, the beer people and the medical marijuana people decided that we had to go. So we can be mad at the legislators and all that, but you guys should remember that there's always going to be somebody who wants to come and take what's yours. And either you fight them or you don't. So there's that. Also, on the federal level, we still have a fight. I was in DC the week before last. Yeah, not last week, the week before last. I was in DC and we had a very good meeting. It was a White House meeting. And the question that I got was, what's going to happen in Texas? Because we're all waiting to see. And I was like, well, if I knew what was going to happen in Texas, like, I'd be making a lot more money. So I don't know. But the point is that Texas was a national story. Everybody was paying attention to it. Everybody wanted to know. And listen, the fight that we've put up here, that you all have put up here, sets the tone for the rest of the country. Lucas made me crazy all year long going, the way Texas goes is the way the rest of the country goes. And it is. It's totally true. So, you know, we have to keep in mind that they're going to keep coming. Until we get that stability, they're going to keep coming. And we can't lose our fortitude. We can't lose our backbone. And I know it's exhausting, but we have to keep doing it. Mark, what is your recommendation to people here and elsewhere who have now been exposed to this legislative process, not writing letters or whatever, but what do you recommend to people that they do legislate, like on the legislative side? Do you suggest they run for local office? Do you suggest they may develop more relationships with legislators? What do you in the off time?
Absolutely, as a business owner, everybody should know who their state rep is, who their state senator is. Make sure you introduce yourself to them, and if you have the opportunity, give them a tour of your business. Because if you've met somebody and you understand something, it's not threatening. And the first time somebody comes to threaten that business with legislation or regulation, you can make that phone call to that state representative or that state senator. In a very short order, we're going to be coming up with another vehicle by which your voice will be heard. We're organizing a PAC, and we will be highly involved in the primaries coming up. And primaries are, you know, where each party picks who's going to run for that seat in the general election. So we're going to be heard from in the primaries. We're going to go out, we're going to visit with candidates, we're going to ask them questions about how they feel about hemp. We ought to know that in advance. And so things of that nature, just getting involved in the process. This is not a shy group. I've seen the letters, I've seen the response to the petition request. It's not a shy group. You're protecting what's yours. And as Cynthia said, other people want what you've got, whether it's the medical marijuana industry or it's big beer. And I'll just harken back to when I got involved in this. in the very beginning. I wasn't even signed up yet, but I went to outside the hearing room where one of the interim hearings was going on about this industry. And I ran into a bunch of guys from beer lobbies that I used to run with, and I used to, coordinate game plans with. And I looked at him, I said, hey, you're not selling this. What are you doing out here? And the guy just looked at me with a real wry smile. I go, wait a minute, you're losing shelf space, aren't you? He goes, yep. And he goes, and we've had a long conversation with the chairman of Senate State Affairs. That's Brian Hughes. You'll remember he carried Senate Bill 3, or was heavily involved. Rather, it went through his committee. And we've spent a lot of time with the Lieutenant Governor. So they were poisoning the well for your businesses and your industry way before we even knew it was a serious threat. So that's what it's all about. It's getting to know who your elected officials are, and more importantly, making sure they know who you are, so that there is a threat, they can pick up the phone call and it's a friendly conversation.
And just to motivate everybody, could you give a little overview of how THBC works and why it's not optimal?
Well, listen, I'm real comfortable with it because I did 20 years representing alcohol and know all the players over there, got a great relationship with them, so I'm a little more at ease. However, as you might imagine, with the name of Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, alcohol concerns hold a lot of sway over there, or we're going to be greatly outnumbered over there. But I do know this too. I know the director, and I told you I had beers with the director. We're on a very friendly, level, personal relationship. He's a straight shooter, and all these agency heads are appointed by the governor, and the governor wants this product regulated. He does not want it eliminated. So we're going to have our day in court.
Did you read the executive order to be more like THBC would be the enforcement arm and DSHS would continue to oversee it?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's the direction they're headed because they have a number of enforcement agents. They're already out in the field.
How many do they have? Do you know?
I don't know the exact number.
But it's more than DSHS?
It's more than 4.5 full-time employees, yes, I can assure you.
Well, they only have 4.5 because they only want to have 4.5. So
Right.
they have the money for the rest, they just don't spend it on that, so.
It's going to be my exact question is with this executive order, what are kind of the concrete next steps? Does it look like legislature or we're doing rulemaking now with DSHS?
Yeah.
How does that process look different than the legislative process we just went through?
It's a lot more fast-moving, but you will have opportunities to engage with the regulators. You'll try and influence there. As I said, it'll open it up to public comment because they'll come up with their original draft rule. They'll invite certain people in to talk to them. They'll come up with an original draft rule. Then there'll be a comment period, and then they're going to publish, and that stays in the Texas Registrar for a minimum of 30 days. And, there's a bunch of pushing and pulling going on. So it's kind of a similar process, but at a much more expedited rate. But it will have the force of law once it goes into effect, once it's finally adopted. And as we spoke about earlier, who's to say how quickly or how long that's going to take? We just don't know, but we're about to begin.
And will that public hearing process look like, the 2 minutes we got during legislative session, or is this online? Should we be submitting preferred language in anticipation of whatever language they're going to come up with? Or is it, 2 minutes at a time, public speaking type?
Well, that remains to be seen how they do it, but a lot of times now they'll do things via webinar. And sometimes you'll go out in person. Many times I was out on a Tuesday morning out at the THBC and would publicly testify there. I've done it remote as well. It just remains to be seen. But I think the first step is they're going to ask for a stakeholder meeting, and they're going to contact all the people they know in the industry, bring us all into a room and say, this is the marching orders, this is the way things are going to work. We're going to work with you for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and then we're going to publish, and then it's on.
Can I just, I know we got two different lanes. We have the 21 and up lane that is going to be, they're going right into rulemaking. And then for the THCA and the rest of it, they're going to review what's in place now. We've talked a lot about how they're going right into rulemaking. Can you kind of break down the review process for possible changes?
Well, I can't get it any further. I can't dig in any further than to tell you what the process is. And again, it'll be stakeholder meetings. We'll all have opportunity for input. There'll be opportunities for individual meetings, depending on whether it's dishes or TABC. At the end of that time, they'll come up with their first draft of rules. They'll have to post that in the Texas Register, and it has to be for a minimum of 30 days. That's where we'll communicate with everybody here and say, here's the game plan. You need to weigh in. You know, in opposition to something or for something. And then they're going to take that in, and then they can have a revised draft, right? Then they're going to put it out there again. So it's a process. And then finally, when they think that they're at the final product, they'll announce it and they'll adopt that rule, and then it'll become the law of the land.
And the other thing is they have 10 days to get started. But that just means they have to start making phone calls, right? It doesn't mean that in those 10 days they have to have identified every stakeholder and they have to have the meetings scheduled and all that other stuff. It just means they have to start 10 days and then work on it. So,
and that'll actually be the review of it. So we're not even, I know everybody's freaking out about the THCA and all of this, but the 21 and up is what's happening right now.
Right now. Yeah.
So that review, just to kind of put it out there, that review could take a long time before we get to where we're at with the 21 and up.
Correct.
Which is moving forward right away. So I just wanted to make sure that.
So just to reiterate on that, 2018 Farm Bill passed in 2018, and it took until 2021 to get the final rules.
Yes.
So,
And
I mean, that's federal, so it takes longer, but.
Yeah, and to circle back to that one, because there was a question about the definition. The Farm Bill definition is different than the FDA definition. They added that in.
There's no FDA definition, it's USDA.
Yes,
Yeah.
when they made those rules, they added that THCA.
Correct.
So I know a lot of people.
Took 3 years for them to do that because it was question and comment period back and forth, people submitting their comments, they have to review the comments. Took 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 years.
So it's not going to happen in 10 days.
Right.
I can say that with certainty.
Yeah, everybody
I wanted to make sure, because everybody in this industry was very panicked when they
freaked
saw
out, yeah.
And you know, they saw the bullet points and they thought that was it, and that bullet points was just, it's old news. It's what could have happened. Yeah. And everybody saw that and really overreacted.
And you know, the other thing is I think that they're at a point where they know they need to study things and examine things and research things or whatever. And this has been such a hot button issue. I don't think anybody's rushing to finalize something. Because it could come, how did that happen?
That's some phantom lighting going on.
Okay, it's like the bar, like the lights start flashing, get out.
The intensity of your voice.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody wants to make a mistake.
And thank you guys for what you do, honestly.
My name is Bjorn. Just have a question to this process. It sounds like it's a very reasonable and civil process, this rulemaking that you're describing. What is the risk that someone unreasonable will put a hand on the wheel here? I'm thinking in particular about the Lieutenant Governor Patrick.
I feel like we've already dealt with the most unreasonable person we were going to have to deal with.
Listen, knowing Dan Patrick, he's going to try and exert his influence as much as he can, but keep in mind, again, all these state agencies report ultimately into the governor. So his influence is on the wane. That was during the legislative process. We're in a regulatory arena now. Those state agencies report to the governor. The governor wants it regulated, not eliminated. So we're in a better place now.
Makes me feel a lot better.
Thanks.
You guys have been great. If that's everything.